On the young and the restless, Genoa City thrives on surprise entrances, power plays, and emotions that run hotter than Crimson Light's espresso machine. This week, the drama ratchets up when Jill Abbott Jess Walton rolls back into town, her timing impeccable and her presence a seismic jolt to a handful of lives, most notably Kane Ashby, Nate Hastings, and Audra Charles. Jill's arrival turns the so-called Kane train into what fans online are already dubbing the Man Pain Express, while Audra's world shatters after Nate makes a decision she never saw coming. Jill Abbott comes home with fire in her eyes. Jill Abbott doesn't do anything halfway. When she sweeps into Genoa City, heads turn. This time is no different. Fresh from overseas business dealings, Jill returns with her trademark mix of glamour and grit, looking to steady Chancellor Winters as tensions bubble under the surface. But her sharp instincts tell her something else is brewing, personal matters that could derail the people closest to her. She immediately zeroes in on Kane, her ex-son-in-law who's been floating around the edges of town, seemingly aimless. Kane's past mistakes, his fractured relationships, and his reputation for self-sabotage hang heavy. Jill's protective instincts flare, because when Kane's in crisis, it's rarely just his own life he derails. Pull yourself together, Kane, Jill cuts with her signature mix of tough love and biting wit, her voice dripping with that familiar Abbott sass. You think wallowing gets you respect in this town? Please, Genoa City eats men like you for breakfast. And just like that, the Kane train is rolling full steam ahead, but this time it's not fueled by hope, it's all man pain, regret, and Jill refusing to let him wallow. Kane Ashby, torn between past and present. Kane's storyline has always been one of redemption and relapse, of trying to prove himself against impossible odds. With Jill back, he's reminded of all the second chances he's squandered. His guilt over Lily, his distance from his children, and his inability to find new purpose gnaw at him. Jill challenges him in ways nobody else dares to. She reminds him of his strengths, yes, but also forces him to confront his failures. It's not long before Kane spirals into emotional territory fans know all too well. He broods at society, he vents at Crimson Lights, and he sulks around Chancellor Winters, turning the Kane train into the Man Pain Express. But Jill's tough talk isn't just scolding, it's a test. She wants to see if Kane has the resilience to climb out of his despair. The world doesn't owe you, Kane. You owe it to your kids, to yourself, to stop playing victim. The question is, will Kane rise to the challenge, or sink deeper into his own misery? Enter Audra Charles, a woman with everything to lose. Meanwhile, across town, Audra Charles is juggling schemes, ambitions, and her ever-complicated romantic entanglements. For months, she's carefully aligned herself with Nate Hastings, Genoa City's brilliant, ambitious, and sometimes dangerously self-assured doctor-turned-executive. Their chemistry sizzled, their power plays aligned, and Audra saw Nate as the perfect partner to build both passion and power. But Genoa City has a way of pulling men like Nate in too many directions. Between family obligations, business pressures, and his own moral compass tugging him in uncomfortable directions, Nate has been wavering. And Audra, sharp as ever, senses his hesitation. Still, she doesn't expect the blow that's coming. Nate Hastings makes his move. Nate calls Audra to a meeting at the Grand Phoenix. The moment she walks in, she knows something is off. His stance is rigid, his jaw tight, his eyes carrying a weight she hasn't seen since his medical career imploded. For a moment, Audra dares to hope he's about to solidify their partnership, maybe even escalate it. Instead, she gets a gut punch. Audra, Nate begins, voice soft but firm, I've made a decision about us. About everything. He explains that he can't continue down their path. That he's tired of manipulation, tired of gray morality, tired of compromising his principles. In one swoop, Nate severs their partnership, professional and romantic alike. He frames it as growth, as reclaiming his integrity. But for Audra, it feels like betrayal. Her lips part in disbelief. You're dumping me, and the plan? She asks, her voice cracking under the weight of the shock. After everything I've done, for you, with you, you're just walking away. Audra, who has built her identity around always being one step ahead, suddenly finds herself crushed under Nate's decision. She's not used to losing, least of all like this. The fallout. Audra unraveled. In the hours after Nate's bombshell, Audra spirals. For the first time, her facade of icy control fractures. She drinks too much at the bar, her mascara smudges, and she lashes out at anyone who dares pity her. She even crosses paths with Jill, who watches her with amused disdain. "Darling, let me give you a free lesson," Jill says, delivering her words like daggers wrapped in velvet. "Never let a man's decision dictate your worth. Trust me, I've been through more breakups than you've had blowouts." But Audra isn't ready for wisdom. She's too busy stewing in hurt, humiliation, and fury. The woman who always lands on her feet suddenly looks more vulnerable than ever. Jill, Kane, Nate, and Audra, a collision course. With Jill back, Kane reeling, Nate redefining himself, and Audra breaking down, Genoa City is poised for collisions that could redraw alliances across the board. Jill may decide Kane isn't her only project. She might take Audra under her wing, if only to keep a closer eye on her. Or perhaps she'll pit Kane and Audra against one another, forcing them both to fight for redemption. Meanwhile, Nate's decision could put him on a collision course with Victor Newman, Devin Hamilton, or even Elena, his ex whose opinion of him has been long tarnished. If Nate truly wants to rebuild his integrity, Genoa City will test him at every turn. And Kane, the Man-Pain Express, has to stop somewhere. Either he crashes spectacularly, or he finally learns how to get off the train altogether. Why this storyline works. At its core, this arc resonates because it taps into the universal themes that make the young and the restless iconic: redemption, betrayal, ambition, and resilience. Jill represents the voice of hard-earned wisdom, the fiery matriarch who refuses to let anyone wallow in weakness. Kane embodies the struggle to prove oneself, to rise above repeated mistakes. Nate symbolizes the quest for integrity in a town where moral lines blur. And Audra showcases the devastating cost of losing control when you've built your identity around always having it. Together, they create a volatile mix of man-pain, heartbreak, and fierce determination, a perfect storm for soap opera magic. What's next? Fans are already buzzing. Will Jill push Kane into a redemption arc, or will she write him off once and for all? Will Audra seek revenge on Nate for humiliating her, or will she rebuild herself stronger than ever? Could Nate's newfound principles land him in hotter water than before? And will Jill's meddling put her at odds with Devin, Lily, or even Victor? One thing is certain: Genoa City isn't slowing down. With Jill back in the mix, the Kane train derailed, and Audra licking her wounds, the ride ahead promises to be equal parts painful and thrilling. For longtime viewers, it's another reminder that in this town, love and power are fleeting, but drama is forever.